is circulation, right? So we will look at a new chapter, circulation. So now what is basically circulation? Basically, circulation means the flow of a fluid. Circulation means flow of fluid in a living organism is known as the flow of a fluid in a living organism. So here the word fluid refers to any kind of connective tissue. It can be blood, it can be hemolymph, it can be lymphatic tissue too, right? So these are the most common types of the fluid which usually circulate in our body. So flow of fluid in a living system is known as circulation. So basically, what type of things are transported through this circulation through this fluid? So we'll talk about transportation, which things are transported. So now one thing which is transported is essential substances. Essential substances. So what things are basically included in this essential substances? Let me correct the spelling. Okay, essential I guess is clear. Okay, these things include basically oxygen. They can be your oxygen, they can be your nutrients. Basically, these are the most essential substances, right? Now we have another thing which is usually transported in our fluid, which is unwanted substances, or you can say these are the waste substances. The waste substances, right? So basically these include our carbon dioxide. Obviously we expire carbon dioxide, right? That can be some undigested particles. They can be undigested particles. They can be some toxic substances, which for example we have urea, we have ammonia, but ammonia is actually converted into urea in ornithine cycle, right? Urea, it can be uric acid too in some organism or in us too, uric acid. And most like in our faces, there is pigment known as blue ribbon and blue verdin, right? Blue ribbon and blue verdin. Okay, so these are some pigments which are found, which are actually unwanted substances, right? So these things basically are transported, these essential substances and these unwanted substances known as waste substances. Okay, why there is need of transportation when we have diffusion? Like we know that diffusion takes place in our body. Like we have studied some other type of transport to facilitate diffusion. We have active transport. We have symport, right? We have these kind of transportation. So why we use this circulation? So the question is why circu why transportation can't be take place cannot be take place can, can't be taken place by means of diffusion. Basically the answer of this question is, actually we know that our body volume is very high, right? Our volume is high, volume is very high, and most of our cells, the majority of our cells are not in direct contact with environment, right? We have low surface area, we have low surface area because most of our cells are folded inside, they are not in direct contact with environment. Low surface area, right? For example, we have here amoeba. For example, we have here, consider that this is amoeba. This is amoeba, right? Let me write here too. This is amoeba, right? So as you can see over here, it has a lot of it has large surface area. It has large surface area, so it's basically its cell. It has one cell, and its cell is in direct contact with the environment. So it can easily do transportation by diffusion, right? But our body is not, like most of our cells are not in not in direct contact with air, with the environment, right? So basically, we have our volume is high and we have low surface area, and we want circulation, we want transportation to be efficient. We want transportation to be efficient. So that's why over here diffusion can't work, right? Diffusion can't work over here. This is the only reason. We want transportation to be efficient, so the diffusion won't work over here. So basically now we have types of circulation. We have types of circulation. Types of circulation. So sorry. So number first is intracellular intracellular circulation. Now, what is this? What does the word intra means? Intra means inside. So it occurs inside the cell due to the cytoplasmic movement. Because of, you can say, in this there is cytoplasmic movement, which is known as cyclosis. Cyclosis, right? So let me bring here the picture of the cell so we can easily understand this. Let me minimize it. Okay, so let's bring this picture over here. Okay, as you can see, this is a cell, right? Now what I'm talking about, I'm talking that there will be a cytoplasmic movement which will be known as cyclosis in the intracellular circulation. Basically what will happen over here, okay, suppose here are some, you can see over here there are some particles, right? There are some particles. So basically these particle will move. These particle will move in the cytoplasmic and cytoplasm. So this cytoplasmic movement is known as basically cyclosis. This is known as cyclosis. Basically it occurs in which organism? Basically it occurs in the unicellular prokaryotic organisms. Unicellular prokaryotic organisms. For example, we have amoeba, we have paramecium, we have, what do we have? We have amoeba, we have paramecium. So these are the basically, what are they? These are basically unicellular prokaryotic organisms. So the example include amoeba and paramecium, right? So this is one type of circulation which is intracellular circulation. Next we have extracellular circulation. Number two, which is extracellular extracellular circulation. right? Now what happens is, actually in extracellular circulation, the circulation takes place within the cell, or you can say outside the cell, outside the cells, or you can say between the cells, between the cells, or you can say in the body cavity, in the body cavity, right? And we will look at this extracircular digestion in detail. So it occurs outside the cell, between the cells, in the body cavity, right? So next we have fluid. Like now let's discuss about types of fluid, right? So now first one, which is environmental fluid. Now what is this? Basically this includes water. Basically this water is present in some of the organisms. For example, we have hydra, we have some sponges. So in these organisms, let me write over here, in these organisms, for example, we have hydra, we have some sponges. So in these organisms, the circulation takes place with the help of water. So hydra, sponges, for example, consider that this is a sponge. This is the organism basically, and it is sponge and it has some holes. There are some actually pores from which the water comes out and comes inside. So, so that this is the water and it is coming out, the water is coming out, the water is coming out, or you can say water is getting in, the water is getting in. So these are basically sponges. Sponges are the living organism basically. These are sponges, right? So we have another type of circulation which is known as, okay, circulatory fluid, or you can say it is known as internal fluid circulation. Okay, types of fluid. Okay, we have other type of fluid which is known as circulatory circulatory, or I can say basically you can say internal fluid circulation. Internal fluid. Okay, we have basically here we have three. Number one is blood, which is the most common and everyone is familiar with this. Second one is lymphatic fluid, which is basically the interstitial fluid, and we have studied this in last chapter too, which is a interstitial fluid, right? Now third one is hemolymph. Basically this hemolymph is what is the spelling of this? Okay, please correct the spelling. Basically this hemolymph is analogy, or you can say equivalent to blood. It is equivalent to blood, and this contains a element known as copper. It contains copper, right? And basically and this, the special thing of this fluid is that it doesn't contain any type of respiration pigment, like no respiratory pigment is present. Mostly it is transparent, or it is colorless. There is no such respiratory pigment, which means it doesn't have like no hemoglobin. There will be no hemoglobin, no RBCs, right? And the color of this is basically it is transparent. It is transparent, or you can say it is colorless. It is colorless, right? When we talk about blood, basically blood contains iron in this, right? So I hope this is clear to you. We have internal fluid. Number one is first is blood, then lymphatic fluid, then hemolymph, and basically this hemolymph is present in some insects, molluscs, arthropods. Okay, and we will look at the composition of hemolymph too. And basically this hemolymph is equivalent to blood. It contains copper and it has no respiratory pigment. As I said, it doesn't contain RBCs. It does not have any kind of hemoglobin. No hemoglobin, no RBC. So it is transparent and it is colorless. So I hope that this introduction is clear to you guys. If you guys have any kind of queries, you just ask me in the comment section. I would be very glad to answer you guys.